Welcome back, guys. Welcome back to another video tutorial run through, and this time we are going to set up the new WRT3200AC router from Linksys. So I've actually tested this router for quite some time on my Tech Goose channel. I will post a card to that. So check that out. That's going to be reviewing the actual router itself and my experience with it. This video is actually on the in-depth of actually setting it up. Now, I'm not going to go through advanced setup. There are a lot of things you can change on this router. You can even change the actual operating system that this guy's running if you want. I'm going through the actual Linksys branded standard setup procedure to get this running. I'm going to do it on a MacBook. So we're going to actually set it up with my MacBook, and we'll go from there. That said, first step is getting it out of the box. Have it out of the box already, right? We're going to need, in my case, I have a cable modem. The cable modem's already set up, so I have that over there. You're probably going to want to unplug your cable modem, especially if you're actually going from a different router to a new router. Unplug the cable modem because you're going to have to reset which router it's attached to. So unplug the power from the cable modem. You can just let that sit off to the side. Get the router up and going. So plug it in, and after you plug in the router, after it gets up and going, then plug in the modem. I don't know if you'd have to really do it in that order, but I always tend to do it, and I usually have the best luck doing it that way. So that said, let's get this guy over there. All we have to do is plug in the power to this guy, and then I'll plug in an Ethernet connection directly from the modem into here, which I already have set up as well. They do give you a Ethernet cable in the box if you need one. I already have one set up over there. And then from there, we will actually, and I'm going to actually connect one or two other Ethernet cables in here for the rest of my house stuff. And then we're going to come back and do the setup. So first, let's get it over there, and let's get it actually plugged in. Step one. Okay, so here's the location where I'm actually going to set it up. In this case, I have the router, and I have the modem next door. Now, I did unplug the power to the modem, and I have the router, nothing plugged in yet, but it's all ready to go in. So I have all the cords already pulled. Power cord, Ethernet, and Ethernet to the modem, and then I do have an Ethernet to, well, actually it's to a switch, but in this case, so you have on the back of the router, between the last two antennas here, we actually have a power switch, so I'm going to actually keep that off, so the circle is off. Then you have the DC power. You have a reset button, so if you need to actually reset this router and go back to factory defaults, while it's turned on, you push and hold that for it's like at least 5 seconds, and then you'll see the lights on the front start blinking. Let go, and she'll do a whole factory reset. You have your USBs and your reset here. I'm not going to do any setup stuff on that. I'm just going to get the setup guy up and running. So I have my yellow guy here is for the internet. That's going to plug directly to the modem itself. So that's going to be the big one that we're going to need. I am going to actually use one of these 4 LAN ports. Now these are short shared ports, so you can plug in from computers to other devices that use Ethernet. You can plug it in here. If you want to share this connection to other things, like you need more than 4 ports like I do, I have an 8-port gigabit switch that I have coming up here that I'll plug into, well, say port number 1. Doesn't really matter which way I plug it in. But it's alright, so I'll keep it so you guys can see it. I'll plug in power connection over here, and I have it turned off, so it's not going to turn on yet. This white cord is actually going to my modem. That's going to go in the Ethernet, in the internet port. And then this guy right here is actually going to one of my switches. Obviously, a little loose on the connections on that. My sheathing isn't going all the way, but not a big deal. Alright, so get this guy here. Now I'm going to, the switch is actually right next to the power port here, so I'm going to flick that here in a second. Here we go. I'm going to flick that on. So there you go. You can see him flash on to life. And now it's starting to turn on. Right about now, I'm going to go ahead and start powering up my modem because the modem does take a little bit as well. And the internet connection should be all reset on that guy because it's been off for a little bit. And now we're going to go ahead and let that boot up. Now it's going to take several minutes. You can see there are 4 Ethernet port lights here. My Ethernet port 1 is lighting up because there are devices trying to connect to the internet through it. Now you can see the 5 gigahertz, 2.4 gigahertz coming online. They're testing that, and eventually this will all come online. Ethernet, it's going white because it's seeing a connection at least to the modem. Not saying so much that there's an internet connection, but it is actually seeing the modem there, so there's something is plugged in there. So we're going to give that a few minutes, let it boot up, and we're going to go over to my MacBook. And I have a MacBook Air. We're going to do wireless setup rather than wired setup. If you did wired setup and you're actually going to plug your computer directly into one of the ports, you don't have to connect to it via Wi-Fi. You're just going to go right into the setup. You're just going to skip one step. So let's go to step 2. Okay, so here we are ready for setup. To continue, you are going to want to grab the Quick Start Guide out of the box. The Quick Start Guide tells you a little bit of basically the steps that we're going to go through here. We already basically gone through 1 and 2. We're on step 3, which is basically connect to Wi-Fi. If you didn't want to use Wi-Fi Connect setup, you can actually connect directly through Ethernet. In that case, you don't have to worry about this part. I'm going to go right to step 4. In this case, we are going to connect via Wi-Fi with my MacBook here. So up here, obviously, if you know how to use your MacBook, you connect to, well, Linksys 14337. In this case, I can choose the 5 gigahertz or the 2.4. I'm going to choose the 5 gigahertz on my MacBook Air here. And then we're going to want to use the default password in the Quick Start Guide. I'm not going to keep this as my password. And then hit join. And we're connected. Now we're going to go ahead and open up an internet browser, and we're going to head to LinksysSmartWiFi.com. And it looks like I'm going to take out, and that's actually the one right there. I'm going to take out that semicolon stuff though. Alright, so enter LinksysSmartWiFi.com. There we go. Alright, we're there. LinksysSmartWiFi.com, this is going to be the actual router setup part. You have to make sure you click that you accept the terms and conditions, and then if you want to actually contribute to future improvements, you can do that. I'm going to actually get this a little bit closer so you can actually see what's going on here. Alright, maybe that's easier to read now. Alright, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to leave that like it is, hit next, and we're going to please wait. It's going to take a few moments. It's going to do its little thing. It's going to check the router. It's going to check the connections and stuff like that. So give it a moment. It doesn't take that long typically, but it is going to go through and check the router over and make sure everything's working good before it'll allow you to continue with setup. So detecting, looking for an update, checking to make sure. So it obviously has internet. And we're going to go ahead and install future updates automatically. In my case, you do not have to do that. That's up to you. I'm going to keep that checked. Now we can actually change the wireless settings. For text purposes right now, I'm going to actually keep it the same. But this is where you're actually going to want to choose your SSID. In this case, you can make it the same. So if you click this little box here, you won't have two different network names. If you uncheck them, you can separate between the 2.4 and the 5 gigahertz bands. In that case, what's going to happen is you can basically choose all of my faster devices I'm going to put on my 5 gigahertz band, and my 2.4 gigahertz band I'm going to put on my standard simple connection devices. So smart home devices, things like that on the 2.4 as well. Password is going to be your password that you're going to choose. That this is how you're going to connect. So choose a good password, right? And you know what? Since we're here anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put it in this GeekSmart. And password is Go GeekSmart. Do not do something like that. Make sure that has 5, 6 plus a couple exclamation points, right? So GeekSmart 56 double exclamation point. All right, and our Go GeekSmart. And I missed an E. There we go. Go GeekSmart 56. I don't know why I choose 56, but exactly why, right? It should be a good password. All right, we're gonna hit next, and you're gonna want to make sure you write that down, right? If you're not sure about anything, make sure you write this stuff down so you don't forget it. Hit next. Now it's going to actually update the settings. It's going to configure the router to those settings that I just put into those fields. And we're going to give it a few moments while it does that. And when it's done, we will be back. Okay, so I haven't touched anything. This is when it finally got done. It took about another 30 seconds after I turned off the camera. So about 30 seconds past that. And then this came up. So reconnect your network. It's saying that everything's set up. My new GeekSmart, Go GeekSmart 56 double exclamation point. So we're going to go up to the Wi-Fi connections, choose the standard. Do not choose the guest ones. Obviously, we're going to choose or choose not to have guest on, but I'm going to choose my 5 gigahertz band, and I'm going to go GeekSmart 56 double exclamation point. Hit join, and it's going to join that network. Network joined. And boom. Now we're going to choose a router password. We're going to go GeekSmart 16 because that's the year we did. So Geek found. That's the year we founded GeekSmart. GeekSmart 16. Hit next, and of course you're going to want to make that as secure as possible as well. Alright, this is going to tell you all the information here. Again, write this stuff down. right? So make sure you remember all this information. If you forget it, you will have to reset the router. And that's going to be that little reset switch on the back of the router, and you're going to have to run through this setup again. All right, so just so you know, make sure you write that stuff down. Next, create your Wi-Fi Linksys account. This is actually nice because when you do this, you can actually see things from your router, check in on the connection from anywhere in the world from your mobile device. You can get from your smartphone, you can actually see what's going on with your router, how many devices are connected to it, things like that. Currently, I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to include that in this setup. However, if you have an account, go ahead and sign in. Otherwise, you just hit next. We're going to no thanks that for now. And now we're into the connections. So this is telling me how many devices are connected. Right now, locally 4. That's probably going to go up as soon as I get more devices to connect to it. But that's my hardwired devices mainly, and then my laptop here. You can go into here and see network map to see what kind of devices. So I have a network device, and MacBook Air. So yeah, network device. Obviously, as you bring more things online, you'll see all the devices, your cell phones, your tablets, and everything will all be shown here in the network app, which is pretty cool. I like the network app a lot. Guest access, I'm going to actually turn this off. I do not like guest access, but if you have somebody in, you can actually limit how many guests are allowed, but I'm going to turn it off. Obviously, if you have people over, you could just turn it on for a temporary thing. Router is applying changes. It's going to have to restart to apply those changes. It doesn't take that long to restart, but I'm going to apply those guest access and turn those off. And then up in here in the Wi-Fi, those 2.4 and 5 gigahertz guest accounts will disappear. So right now they're still showing up there, but they should disappear shortly. So I have all that done. It's showing me right now GeekSmart 5 gigahertz, both are running. I can choose parent controls, and you can do all of those things as well. So like I said, I'm not going into the full setup of this, but the basics, right? So right now I am up and running, and connectivity is perfect. I can choose to add external storage devices over here. You can do a speed test on the router. So if I hit speed test here, oh, I guess on my computer I don't have Adobe Flash going right now. So you can do a speed test if you actually have Adobe Flash running. I do limit Adobe Flash. MacBooks or Mac in general does. I wonder if I actually allow that real quick. Maybe I can do that. So let's do this real quick. Privacy, manage data. Or that's not how we want to do it, is it? Security. There's where it is. Plugin settings. Adobe Flash. Done. Alright, so now we'll go ahead and do that. Speed test. Oh, I guess maybe I have to restart the battery. Oh, I guess I should check to make sure I did have it connected there. Oh, I did it again, didn't I? Plugin settings, Adobe Flash Player, on. There we go. Alright, so it's on. Sorry about that. Speed test. And you can hit begin test, and it will do a full speed test. So right now, my modem's a little slow in comparison to where it should be. But then again, it all depends on the time of day with Mediacom that I have around here. So, that said, as it goes its thing, and then you can show your history. So I have the full upload right now. My download's a little slow, but still pretty fast. It all depends. Whenever you have that shared connection, it always changes. So that is the setup of the router, and we have everything running up and good. Obviously good speed connection, and then from there you can choose to do parental controls and everything like that. You can change any of the settings. After that, it's up to you. So that's the basic setup of the WRT3200ACM. So that'll get you up and running. All you need is the router, an internet connection, and a laptop. Whether it's a MacBook or not, that's irrelevant. But the user interface is pretty easy to use. It's fairly easy to set up. It basically walks you hand by hand, walks you through the whole setup, which is what it should do. It should be already secure, and then it allows you to change that security. It's up to you. But out of the box, you could keep the SSID and password that it's done. That's up to you. I would try to choose something that's more easy to remember, but still very secure. Obviously, especially if you're in a major city and you have apartment buildings or in your apartment complex, you're probably going to want to make sure that's a really secure password. You don't want somebody breaking in and using your data, illegally downloading things, and then you get in trouble for it. So sharing connections obviously is great, and that's what routers are for, but you're always going to lock that down to who's able to get access to that. So with that said, Pretty easy setup. I went through it step by step for you. In that case, I didn't skip a step. I recorded the whole time. I did stop there once just because I didn't know how long it was going to be waiting for. But it didn't not work and me fix it. So everything went step by step for you. When I set this up once before, I did get one little hiccup. And I decided, you know what, I'm just going to reset the router and start from the top. And then I didn't have a hiccup. And that was with the first iteration of the firmware. I had updated the firmware on this guy beforehand, and that obviously asked, when it checked a firmware update for me, if there was a firmware update available, it would have recommended that. So in that case, I did not get to that part of the setup because it's already up to date. So I did do a review on this as well. I will post that card there. I'm going to do another tutorial video on the setup of the wireless extension of this with a Linksys wireless extender, the RE7000 to be honest. So that's going to be my next video. I will post the card there as well for that one. But thanks again for stopping by. Hopefully you learned a little bit and how this actually gets set up. And let me know what you think. Comment, subscribe, like the video. I love it. Check us over at getgeeksmart.com. GeekSmart basically everywhere else. So we will catch you on the next video. Thanks for stopping by, guys.